Breach is a weird game. It takes elements from tons of different titles across multiple genres and blends them together into something that is familiar but different. Self described, Breach is an upcoming third person action RPG where you'll team up in a small group of four, with yourself and others playing one of dozens of highly customizable classes to push through different missions in a world where modern Earth and mythology collide. I had a chance to play quite a bit in some recent testing, and I want to try to describe how it plays and what's interesting about it, and then give my thoughts on the whole experience. But first, I want to thank Displate for sponsoring this video. What is Displate? Essentially, they are sleek, better looking posters, or rather, magnet mounted metal prints, where the type of prints you can get range from almost any fandom you imagine, done in countless different art styles, which are perfect to decorate your room or where you game or a nice streaming backdrop, but also they have more girlfriend approved art or more decorative options, rather than just representing something that you love. For me personally, ever since I've heard of the company, it's been my go-to impersonal, personalized gift because the quality of the product impresses, they come well packaged, pre-gift wrapped, and everybody tends to like something, and you'll find that thing on a Displate. If you're interested and want to browse their wares, use the link below and code FEVER during checkout for free shipping and help support me by supporting them. But back to Breach. So at its core, it's a lobby-based dungeon runner. In the MMORPG genre, we've seen similar things to this: Elsword, DFO, Kritika, MXM, Soulworker, but there are some unique elements here that fundamentally change this experience. Most notably is adapting the asymmetrical 4v1 style of gameplay found in games like Evolve or Left 4 Dead. You see, the three main elements to Breach are the group of heroes, the dungeon, and something called the Veil Demon. The idea of Breach is for this group of players to enter into a static dungeon, work their way through to the end, and kill a boss, while either an AI or a player controls this Veil Demon, this untargetable troublemaker, whose goal is to prevent that from happening and try to get the party killed. And he can do this through direct and indirect means. He can summon walls or jails, he can take direct control over monsters, he can summon his own elite monsters, he may even be able to do direct damage spells or direct CC spells. And this changes the game from just a cooperative dungeon crawl into more of a match, with a further departure from being just a dungeon crawl, as these missions or dungeons are set up kind of strange. They have these series of rooms and a linear path through each of these rooms, which ends in the boss like I mentioned earlier, but each room plays out like a mini game or a challenge, and there's also like a scoring system. So room 1 may require your party to escort a payload, room 2 requires you to kill a certain amount of monsters in a limited time, and room 3 is capture and hold 2 points, all happening while waves of enemies crash into your party and the Veil Demon sows chaos. Each of these challenges can be won and lost, and if the party wins, they score almost like a point and are granted a level that allows them to choose between different bonuses and get more powerful for the rest of the dungeon. And if they fail, that point goes to the Veil Demon and they get more powerful, allowing a little bit of snowballing to happening here if you have a decent rush of momentum. And at any time, if the party dies, the Veil Demon wins. Now, win or lose, the reward structure is different than you'd imagine. Yes, this is an action RPG, and currently there are item drops and rewards for won matches, but from what I've seen, there is no real vertical progression. The different items are more just different equivalent power level options to help flesh out a build or a strategy. Do you want lifesteal or damage mitigation, move speed or attack speed? There are items that change the list of bonuses that you can choose from when you win a room, as well as in true free-to-play fashion. You'll earn experience to level up the character class that you've chosen to play, which doesn't result in it being more powerful, as well as earning currencies to buy cosmetics or unlock new classes to try out. And this is a main part to the game as well, the ability to customize and tweak your playstyle and your class, because I think the coolest part is just how fluid these classes can become. Because while each class comes with its own different abilities, and this best mimics a MOBA because of the low ability count as well as having an ultimate ability, the classes themselves will belong to a school of magic. And this doesn't mean that they're all spellcasters, this is just best thought of as a theme, and between classes in the same school of magic, as you level them up, you unlock their skill bar, allowing you to mix and match abilities from other classes in that same school of magic to basically create your own custom class. And this is made even cooler cooler in the sense that this game actually heavily leans on a rough utilization of the MMORPG holy trinity of tank, healer, and damage dealer, and many of the abilities are designed with a group play in mind. But it's more than that, because each room challenge is kind of its own game mode. So while those 3 roles is good, you start having to think about who can capture a flag in this room, who can escort a payload by themselves, how do we deal with X, how do we deal with Y, how do we best build around winning as many rooms as we can, or maybe you don't. Your character makeup, your group makeup can be suited for some things and not others, so maybe in some rooms you don't even try to win it. And because the room layout for each dungeon is the same every time you go in, planning goes a really long way. And then all of this is made even cooler in that the Veil Demon has a similar level of customization and different classes, which will make the maps play out differently. It adds this layer to the game because you have to start thinking laterally, maybe on specific dungeons or against specific Veil Demons. Your group can get away with not even having a healer because everyone can go heavy on Life Leech. Maybe you go double tank, double healer because you know that this map has a lot of defend to this point or defend this payload, and you notice the Veil Demon's class doesn't actually deal damage to you. And then even just one-off abilities, like maybe you notice that, oh, we need an interrupt here, we need a revive spell here, and then you can also start slotting in these one-offs into DPS classes. And because this game is so party-focused, this is something that you get into Discord and you're like, okay, how do we make this work? And then in the Veil Demon's perspective, he's trying to gauge how best to deploy his own strategy, and both sides need to play around each other while the room challenges are actually happening. However, with all of this flexibility and the enforcement of team play, the skill gap between organized and unorganized players is absolutely massive. And while the game has different difficulty toggles for runs versus the AI, where you won't be able to move up until you smarten up, against a Veil Demon being played by a player, it's a complete crapshoot. As for my initial thoughts on the game, I could give pages of feedback, but my main concern, especially with this game entering early access in 2019 and a full release to follow a few months later, is I don't even know what the game wants to be, and it skirts this weird line between being a cooperative game and a competitive game. Even if the gameplay is literally the same, the thing is that the focus for development for the features, the content, the systems, the incentives to support either of those playstyles, let alone the audience for each, are drastically different. It's this age-old push and pull between PvE and PvP. And what's that old proverb, a person who chases 2 rabbits catches neither? Because I would be so down to play a game focused on delivering a consistent stream of new dungeons, new bosses, new tools to develop new builds, meant to test a small group's ability to utilize what's in front of them to overcome all this cool shit. Hell, that's why I've played Final Fantasy Brave Exvius for almost 3 years daily, for that consistent challenge. Now granted, that game does it for solo turn-based combat, but that, for group-based dungeon combat, just sign me up. But my gut tells me that the content pace to keep it relevant is not realistic, and it's easier to just slap on a ranked mode, a verse mode, a battle pass, and try to get replayability and engagement through competition, and try and get some streamers involved, of which I'm just not interested in. So it's hard to know where I will land on this game, but I'll keep my eye on it. What I played during testing was fun, but the games I mentioned prior, that style of MMO lobby-based game, they start fun but become incredibly repetitive when content runs out. And is the Veil Demon the way that they keep it fresh? Do they have some interesting system they're holding back to replace the gear grind incentive or to make it fun in the long term? I just don't know yet, to be honest. But that is going to do it for me. Hopefully you better understand what Breach is. Until next time, this is Fever. Peace.